Hi everybody, Russell here from VectorVest. Let's go and look at this ETF ACDC. And no, not to be confused with the band ACDC, but it's certainly a high energy stock, just like the band. So let's do this. Let's click on Viewers, and then I'm going to click on Watch List Viewer. And in here, I'm going to go down to Special Watch Lists. So I've opened it up already. Special Watch List, that's one you click on that group there. And there you go. You'll see one entitled, you've all got access to this one here called ETFs. And what I'll do here is I'll right click and auto fit all columns. Now you see over here you can change it to your layouts as required. If you right click, you can then select layout and you can modify your layouts accordingly. And you can see I've been looking at dividends and dividend yield, for example. So if you want to bring it back to the standard default, click on restore default. There we go. And what I like to do is I like to make the font stand out a bit too. So I'll just dial it up just a tad there. See, I just clicked on the font there and you can then make the adjustments. Okay, so I'll push on OK and there we are. And I'll right click and I'll auto fit all columns. What I'm wanting to do is I'm wanting to find out what are some of the best performing ETFs for the year so far. Let's go back to the start of 2021. Okay, so go back here. January, there we are, 4th of January. Now when you do a quick test, you can quick test up to 100 at a time. So I'm going to do this. I'll quick test the top 100. I'll just change this here to being 100 and click on anywhere on the yellow highlight there and it spits out the result there for me. Okay, so you can see effectively some of the best performers for the year so far. And of course you can go and do the exercise the remaining 80 odd because we're doing the top 100. There's another 80 odd. But here are some of your best performers. Okay, now if you go and look in that list, there's ACDC. So it's right up there. It's right up there as one of the top performers. It's the best performing Australian ETF for the year so far. My understanding is it's best performing one for Australia. Now you might be looking at this and saying, well, but there's some better performing ETFs. My understanding is that this is purely an Australian ETF. All right, so if you go and look at some of these other ETFs, sure, they're listed on the Australian Stock Exchange, but the managers and those that run those ETFs, they're not necessarily purely Australian. Okay, so with that said, very good performer, competing right up there with some of the biggest performers so far for the year. All right, let's close out of here. Let's go and pick on ACDC. So I'm going to go and find ACDC, so click find symbol, ACDC.AX, don't forget to put in .AX, press enter, and there we are. So that's another way you can do it, just if you're looking for it. Okay, just a quicker way, just in case, if you come down and look at your list and you're running a whole lot of ETFs and you're wondering where it is, that's a quick way of identifying it. So I just wanted to show you that there. All right, with that said, let's graph this given stock here. ETF in this case. All right, so for 2020, ACDC did over 50% returns and up over 12% as of time recording here for the year so far. So very impressive. So what I've done here is I've put on relative timing. So to get this layout here, a quick way to do it, just put on the VectorVest Simple under Layouts, VectorVest Simple. There's your relative timing. I'm going to turn off EPS and the stop. And I also then put on our CI, Comfort Index Indicator. So add parameter capital appreciation and select CI. Let's put that on there. What I like to see with ETFs is I want to see relative timing holding above 1. I want to see CI having broken above 1. So these are both on a scale of 0 to 2. So you want these both to be above 1 because you're looking for momentum. I can't tell you what the earnings are for ACDC. If I put on EPS, you'll see it's flat. You'll see it for all ETFs that we track in VectorVest because we cannot tell you exactly what the earnings are because we cannot tell you exactly what's being held at any point in time. All right, so if you go to any given ETF listing out there and you can research what they're doing, it's very difficult to find out exactly what they're doing because ETF managers don't want to give away all their trade secrets. So you just need to be aware of that. So with that said, the way I look at ETFs is I'm looking for technicals. I'm looking for momentum. And of course, I'm looking for a good theme that's taking place. So batteries are in hot demand, electric cars, green energy. Green energy needs to store the energy that it creates. This whole renewable energy and energy storage, it's becoming more and more important out there, isn't it? We're hearing more and more about it. Western Australia's got that giant lithium battery out there from Tesla and the likes. Okay, so again, you can see the momentum, the change taking place in the market. You know, it was unheard of that you could use a giant Tesla battery in Western Australia to effectively provide stability in power. Who would have thought 10 years ago? And here we are. So things are changing rapidly, and we're seeing this. We're seeing it here on the comfort index on a scale of 0 to 2. So what I like to see at the ETFs, when I'm seeing technicals breaking above 1 and then the CI breaking above 1 as well, that's a good time to consider. For me, I'm seeing lots of momentum, but of course I need to overlay it with market timing, right? So if I put, say, the confirmed signals, almost conservative, here we go, we get the confirmed up, technicals are booming away, CI picks up, great. It's an opportunity there, 56.86. Over here at this point here, I'm going to be a little bit careful because the confirmed down is in play. Price goes all the way from 58 to 64. We wait. If we stopped out, if we're not, we can still be in, of course. Our stop loss is in play. CI continuing to hold above 1. I like to see that. Technical still holding up. So look at that, around about there from 69 all the way here to this point here. There's a bit of a breather on the technicals, all the way up to 88. It's not bad. But look at all the meanwhile, the technicals have not fallen below 1 and CI has not fallen below 1. So it's interesting from this point here, it never fell below 1, either one of these here. And price went from 57.48 all the way to 93.35 as of time of recording here. All right, the last thing I want to leave you here with, and this is really interesting, and that is an article by Morningstar. And I'll put the link there in the weekly essay there for you. Under the hood of Australia's best performing ETF, ACDC. And I really enjoyed reading this article because as it went on, it told me some of the companies that ACDC has been invested into. I can't tell you whether they're currently holding them or not, some of these here, but you can see Tesla, Nissan Motors, Toshiba, Panasonic, General Electric, Pilbara Minerals, GS Yuasa Group, what's that, Brookfield, you name it. So lots of international companies in there as well. So if you get the chance, read that one there. Very interesting, plenty of great information there for you. I found another link here. I'll just close this one out here on Yahoo Finance. So on Yahoo Finance, very interesting on that link. And again, I'll put the link there for you so you can have a look. But I clicked on holdings. So on holdings, and there we go. You can see in terms of what's currently being held. So at the moment, the biggest holding. Now, again, you need to be careful because when was this report done? This might be a couple of weeks out of date by now. But nonetheless, this was very useful. Pilbara Minerals, 6.4%. Galaxy Resources, 5%, etc., etc. So you can go through and have a look. There's Tesla coming in at 3.67. Right, so this time round was actually quite useful because we were able to see where 41.76%, at least whenever that report was done up until that point in time, where 41% of ACDC was investing into. But here's the thing, right? I don't know where the other 60-odd% is invested. And as such, you just need to be mindful of that. So, you know, with an ETF, you're not going to have full disclosure. If you're building your own portfolios, then you can go in and you could potentially build your own equivalent for battery type technology. So it's up to you. You can use an ETF, or if you prefer, you could build your own portfolio where you could get some ideas behind some of the leading ETF providers out there in certain, you know, themes. In this particular case, it's battery renewable type technology. Another article found here, very interesting. The US is facing a lithium-ion battery shortage as electric vehicle production ramps up. And it goes on to mention some very interesting things out there. And again, I'll put that link in the weekly essay so you can read up on that. And I then got researching on electric cars because it's not just Tesla, you know, taking up that demand for lithium batteries for the electric cars and off-grid battery technology. But it's also a lot of other players there as well. So here are some of the motor car manufacturers out there that are demanding lithium batteries for their electric cars. Very interesting. So you can see over here, I counted over 40. Look at all the different ones out there now. BMW and BYD, Chevrolet, Citroen, lots and lots of Ford. So plenty of players out in the space now. It's really heating up. So look at that, even Mercedes-Benz has come out with a great one here, EQC. Let's have a look. There we are. So I haven't seen that one on the roads where I live, but very interesting. A lot of these I haven't seen yet, so I'll keep a lookout for them. I've probably seen them and didn't even realize that they were electric cars. So the world is changing. We are being driven towards a renewable type fuel source in motor cars. If you noticed, for example, in home power tools, I went the other day to the hardware store and looked at some of the electric tools. I was looking at lawnmowers and whippersnippers, and effectively I could see that most of them being sold now are battery, believe it or not. No longer is petrol or petrol and oil combinations. Seems to be the majority of sales, at least in the stores I had a look at, were battery. So you had to plug it in to the wall, fire up your battery pack, and then in it would go into your machine, and that would effectively become the fuel source. So very, very interesting times. Things are changing, and ACDC looks well positioned. It's a clever theme at the moment. Now again, just a word of caution, I'm not licensed to give advice, so please do speak to your financial professional for personal advice. I'm just purely using the power of VectorVest that identified an amazing performing ETF at the moment, and then I went and researched it a little bit further to find out what it's all about. So there you go. VectorVest was bang on the money. CI crossing above 1 here, RT above 1 here. If I just take all this off and just simplify it just a bit here, look at that. There we are. Technicals lit up at $56 odd, just shy of 57. There it is at 93. So the momentum still seems to be heavily in ACDC's favor. Very interesting ETF there. Hope you got a lot out of it. Until next week, bye for now.